Hello and welcome to Prog Chattery 777. We've been talking about Gentle Giant. We've made it through the classic period. We've made it through all the insanely awesome stuff. And now we've made it to the worst album cover possibly in the history of progginess. Giant for a Day. Oh, it's hard to look at. You know, you look at it, I can't look at it. Gotta be some of the worst marketing ever put together. I don't even want to be too harsh on it because I feel, there's something so brutally innocent about it that it makes you feel bad if you're too harsh towards it. This whole, cute idea of, oh, you cut the face out and you can wear it and you can be a giant for a day. Oh. Very unfortunate, but and the music isn't really a saving grace either. This is where they totally compromised, and they went right in the opposite direction that they, from what they were doing, and you get blatant commercialism. And if they had, I talked in the last episode where we talked about the missing piece. They had a song called For Nobody, which was complex and close enough to the classic Giant sound, but it had a toughness to it. There was a bit of weight to it, and that could have helped them in the the dawn of the punk age. And to have released this is just so misguided. If there's something to be said for the music, I think the album cover is worse than the music still. There are a few good songs. I mean, I think the best way to take this album, to be honest, I'll be really into one band for a while, and then I'll overload on them, and then maybe I'll discover something new. Then I'll go back to a different band that I haven't listened to for a while. So I'll have these like little periods of obsession. Now, if I'm getting into a Gentle Giant obsession, the only way I'll be able to really enjoy this album is if I listen to it first. Because if you're having a big listening week or whatever, you're listening to a lot of music and you listen to a lot of classic Giant stuff. You throw on Octopus, you throw on In a Glass House, Freehand, Acquiring the Taste, and then you throw this on. You're going to be disappointed. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you think to yourself, I haven't listened to Gentle Giant in a few months, why not just throw this one on? You probably won't be quite so bad. But that said, it is blatantly commercial. The playing is still really good, obviously. I mean, they're all really good players, but there's something contrived about it. They shouldn't have done it. It is contrived. That's the word. That really is the word. Gentle Giant was never a band to make hit singles. The other positive, the production values on this are really good. It sounds fantastic. It's just, we could have had a better string of songs. Anyway, let's talk about the songs now. We start out side one, Words from the Wise. Right away you notice a difference. It actually, the very first moment of the album, you get all 5 singers singing at once. You get, I think it might be a 5-part harmony. There might be a few of them that just kind of sing in unison, but nothing like the vocal arrangements that they had before, where they had they'd be doing different lines, and it's very contrapuntal, and each line kind of services the next, and it all fits together like a big jigsaw puzzle. They're just singing a vocal line, and it kind of goes into this bouncy little number. There's not much to say about it, really. The chorus comes back. There's kind of a nice middle 8 where they kind of have Derek does this silly vocal, but it's not ideal. Not a great way to open the album. Again, there's a cheesiness to it. There's an innocence. I mean, this is 1978. Punk was in full form. They needed something tough if they wanted to survive. They couldn't, words from the wise. Sure, it's lovely, innocent, nice music, but come on, make something tougher. But anyway, we gotta move on. Track 2 of side 1 is Thank You. Again, it should have been tougher. This is a ballad. Last time with I'm Turning Around on the previous album, that was kind of a power ballad, and it had a bit of meat to it, and it's solid. Thank You is just way too sappy. Again, the arrangements are all gone. There's nothing medieval. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing traditional Gentle Giant about it. And even though it's a well-arranged little pop song, not a big fan. Track 3 of side 1 is Giant for a Day. Now, the title track I actually kind of like. I think it's a peppy little number. Again, it's very simplistic, and you know, I don't want to say that simple music is bad. Obviously, it's not what you expect when you're listening to Gentle Giant, but I think Giant for a Day is actually a pretty good song, and there's a spirited vocal performance by Derek Shulman. He's doing kind of a funny accent in that. Yeah, it's just got a solid groove. The dun 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 dun. Again, if you listen to Giant for a Day, the title track, before you listen to any other Gentle Giant, you'll probably really like it. I mean, it's a solid little rock song. We get track 4, Spooky Boogie. This is the instrumental of the album, and you know, you'd think, oh, they got an album of pop songs, but they threw an instrumental in there just as a little reference to all their past glories. And it really isn't, you know. You think of instrumental. I mean, I would really like a Talibant or something like that, something that still has those arrangements and that musicalness. And Spooky Boogie does. I mean, it does kind of have a bit of that Gentle Giant feel with the, you know, staccato dun da 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 da. But it is drastically simplisticer. It's much more simplistic than what they've done before. And you know, it's cute. That's all you could say. It's a cute instrumental, and it's well played, and it's well produced. It sounds good, but it's not Talibant. It's definitely not Talibant. Then side 1 finishes with Take Me, which I actually kind of like. It's you know, it's got a kind of a 70s groovy feel. Smooth talking boom doom boom. I like the bass line to it, and it's just short enough. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Just a couple of minutes. Not typical Gentle Giant, but it's not a terrible song. It's one of the better ones on the album, I think. Side 2 opens with Little Brown Bag. Again, this is a song, if you're not expecting Gentle Giant, you'll hear it and you're like, that's a solid song. This is kind of the hard rock song on the album. It's got some really good guitar work, guitar riffery from Gary Green, and it's got a pretty solid hook to it as well. Like again, you know, these songs are commercial, then they're poppy, but they're still well arranged, and I mean, it was still put together by, you know, the songs were still all written by, you know, Ray, Derek, and Carey, Minneer, Shulman, and Shulman. So it's the same people that put together, you know, In a Glass House, and Freehand and Octopus and all that. It's the same writers, but you know, so you're still gonna get really well executed, well arranged music. It's just drastically different. Then song 2 of side 2 is Friends. This is where we get John Weathers with his second and final vocal performance with Gentle Giant. His first was on Interview, where he did a verse on the title track. And it's an acoustic song. You know, it adds to the diversity of songs. There is a great diversity of content on this record. I mean, that's a definite positive that it has going for it. You get this nice little folky song after the hard rocker. Lyrics might be a little bit cheesy, but that's okay. It was written by John Weathers as well. It's nice, well produced. The acoustic guitar is nothing like what they used to be doing. It's just this kind of nice folky boom, and it's nice. That's the way I describe it. It's a nice song. It's not very Gentle Giant-y. No Stranger comes afterwards. It's kind of in the same vein as Take Me, I guess. Kind of light, groovy, 70s-ish. And again, doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not too bad. And we get the next song, track 4 of side 2, is It's Only Goodbye, famously written by Carey. I think Carey had you know, the most involvement with this one, and this was Carey Minneer's attempt at writing a hit single, and you kind of get the power ballady thing. You know, it's a little bit reminiscent of I'm Turning Around. I like It's Only Goodbye a whole lot more than I like Thank You. I think it's much better. It's closer to a power ballad because you get this dramatic guitar line, which is really nice actually. And again, the playing on this album is still really great. Just don't expect anything to sound like Gentle Giant, because it doesn't. So yeah, It's Only Goodbye is one of the better songs on the album, and it finishes with Rock Climber, which probably got, you know, of the arrangements, it's the most complex arrangement on the album. But again, if you compare Rock Climber to anything else the band did before this, it's, you know, it's pretty pedestrian. It's another one of the hard rock kind of numbers. It's kind of got I guess there's like that 50s kind of thing. Carrie's got the piano, that dun 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 dun. And, you know, honestly, it's not bad. I sound critical because I've been talking about all the other Gentle Giant stuff and all the arrangements and whatnot, and you know, the problem with this is that it bears the name Gentle Giant. That's its biggest weakness. But I mean, the music isn't bad. It's, you know, sure it's sellout, sure it is deliberately commercial, sure it's contrived, but it's well written and it's well executed. So, you know, I find it very difficult to say this is a bad album, this is full of bad songs, because it's not. It really isn't. There isn't bad music on here. It's just not Gentle Giant-y. And I think it probably was a misguided thing for the band to do, to jump ship so drastically from, you know, the complex proggy stuff that they were doing, and, you know, basically they were just totally closing the door on the audience that they had built up. And, you know, they may have done that out of a bit of desperation. You know, they wanted to survive. They had, you know, little tastes of success, and, you know, I think they really wanted to make it. And, you know, I guess at the time this felt like the best thing to do, but I mean, on retrospect, I'm sure all the band members agree. Probably should have done something different. I mean, even if they just changed the name of the band, so there wasn't the weight of expectation of, you know, Gentle Giant is this kind of music. If they just went under a different name, this could have been a much more successful, you know, album. But, you know, it is what it is. They did it, and, you know, the prog heads aren't as big a fan of it. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can't say it's bad music because it's not. This is still good music. I just wish it wasn't Gentle Giant, and I really wish they did a better album cover than this. It's tough. You know, if they had a different album cover and a different image to it, it may have even helped the music. But like I said before, I think the album cover is worse than the music, to be totally honest. But that's my opinion. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to bash things because, you know, every bit of music has its merits, especially if it's written by Shulman, and Minnear and performed by the musicians of Gentle Giant. It's going to be good. It's just not. I've repeated myself enough. That's it for Giant for a Day. I did it. I talked about it. Stay tuned for the final Gentle Giant album. We're going to be talking about Civilian. That's my guilty pleasure. So we'll see you then.